Forget swords or ancient bloodlines. Hugh Despenser the Younger clawed his way to power by clinging to the king's robe. Born around 1286 into decent nobility, his royal break came with a deadly advantageous marriage. Eleanor de Clare, granddaughter of Edward I and niece to the current king, Edward II. This wasn't just a wedding. It was Despenser planting himself right at the toxic heart of English power. By 1318, as royal chamberlain, he had Edward II every single day. His influence exploded. Courtiers watched, horrified, as his grip tightened, not just on the weak king, but on land, gold, and policy. Despenser voraciously gobbled up estates, especially in South Wales, snatching properties and titles from other nobles. In a world built on loyalty, this naked greed made him powerful enemies fast. Chronicles paint him as ruthless and grasping. He twisted the law, abused his power, and bled the kingdom dry. The Vita Edwardi Secundi states plainly, all men turned their hearts against him because of his pride and wrongdoing. It wasn't just envy, it was terror. Nobles saw peers stripped of lands, crushed by rigged trials, silenced by Despenser's long shadow. Edward II, either too weak or too bewitched, let his favorite run wild. The king's dependence was an obsession. Parliament simmered. The barons saw Despenser now, not just a nuisance, but an existential threat to their power and the realm itself. By 1321, the pot boiled over. A furious coalition of barons forced the king to exile Despenser and his father. But their victory was short-lived. The very next year, Edward brought them roaring back and unleashed a brutal revenge against his enemies. Despenser returned, more terrifying than ever, no longer just a king's favorite, but his bloody sword of vengeance. In those dark years, England wasn't ruled from the throne. It was ruled by Despenser's whisper. And history screams one truth. Power sees like it never, ever dies quietly. By 1322, Hugh Despenser the Younger wasn't just powerful. He was a shadow king of England. Edward II's favor handed him lands, titles, and the terrifying power of royal justice itself. But every manor he seized, every enemy he crushed, forged another deadly enemy. His fatal flaw? Believing raw power made him untouchable. England choked under his grip. Nobles and knights who once basked in royal favor saw their lives destroyed by fake charges and rigged courts. Despenser stole estates, handing them to loyal followers, or, far more often, straight into his own coffers. In South Wales, he ruled like a warlord, crushing the local marcher lords. As chronicler Jean Labelle put it, he acted as if he were king. This tyranny sparked an explosive alliance. Queen Isabella of France, Edward II's estranged wife, and Roger Mortimer, a powerful marcher lord Despenser had thrown in prison. In 1325, Isabella sailed to France, ostensibly on diplomacy. Her real mission? Plotting revolution. She refused to return until Despenser was gone. Edward refused. That refusal sealed Despenser's doom. September 1326. Isabella and Mortimer landed with a small force. England didn't resist, it revolted. Doors flung wide. Nobles, clergy, commoners, all beaten down by Despenser, rose up. Towns joined the Queen in open rebellion. As revolt exploded across the land, Edward and his favorite fled frantically west, desperate for loyal Welsh ground. But loyalty had vanished. On November 16, 1326, near Treason, Hugh Despenser the Younger was captured. The fugitive king was taken beside him. The man who ruled through terror in the King's Inn now stood utterly abandoned. No protector, no allies. Isabella and her allies knew the truth. Despenser alive meant Edward could rise again. And the people? They screamed for blood, not exile, but brutal justice. His trial was a formality. Charges of treason, theft, tyranny piled up. But his real crime was being the power. He had to be erased so completely, his shadow could never darken England again. So, the master manipulator faced a meticulously planned destruction. Not just punishment, a message carved in terror. His downfall would be neither quiet nor clean. It was designed to obliterate his name, humiliate his memory, and scream one thing: the crown was back. November 24th, 1326, Hereford Market Square. A hastily built scaffold loomed. At its center stood the man whose name was terror, Hugh Despenser the Younger. Captured days earlier with the broken Edward II, He now faced the vengeance of Queen Isabella and Roger Mortimer, and the seething rage of a kingdom he'd poisoned with greed. His sentence wasn't just death. It was obliteration. A meticulously crafted spectacle designed to erase the man and the Shadow King legacy he'd built on fear. Charged with high treason, theft, extortion, and bringing ruin to the realm, the punishment went far beyond law. This was political theater sharpened into a blade. Stripped naked, they mocked him with a crown of stinging nettles, a brutal symbol of his poisonous hold over Edward. Then, dragged through screaming crowds on a rough, hide-covered hurdle, the ultimate humiliation for a traitor. Chronicler Geoffrey Le Baker wrote, "He was despised by all men, and the manner of his end rejoiced many." Then came the ritualistic horror, hanging, drawing, and quartering. Hanged until new death, cut down gasping, tied to a ladder, conscious, he endured unspeakable mutilation, a symbolic purification and condemnation before the baying crowd. His heart was ripped out and flung into fire. Finally, beheading, his body carved apart, his head spiked on London Bridge, limbs sent to York, Bristol, Dover, Newcastle. This wasn't execution. It was a calculated dismantling of a human symbol. The tyrant reduced to rotting meat, displayed as a warning. The message screamed from every gibbeted piece: no one, not even the king's shadow, usurps a crown. Power abused as savagely wouldn't be buried. It would be torn apart in public view. Edward II, locked away, was powerless. Despenser's ghastly end marked the death knell of his reign. Within a year, Edward was forced to abdicate, dying soon after in captivity. His fate, as murky as his favourites, was brutally clear. Despenser's execution remains one of England's most chilling state killings, not just for the method, but for its purpose. This wasn't the death of a man. It was a public annihilation of tyranny itself. What does Despenser's fate tell us? About the poison of absolute power? The terrifying cycles of vengeance that shape history? Drop your thoughts below. As the Vita Edwardi Secundi coldly judged, he perished deservedly, for he had been a destroyer of the realm.